Okay, so Gilbert Burns versus Mike Malott just wrapped up. Mike Malott wins by round 3 TKO, and Gilbert Burns retires, sadly. Honestly, though, I feel like we kind of knew this was coming. Like the last few fights he's had, the writing has kind of been on the wall, and I feel like the way he lost this fight was kind of similar in some way to the way he lost to, well, his last few fights. Actually, he looked pretty good in the JDM fight. It was really the Michael Morales fight where it was like, oh yeah, he's like really going downhill. But I actually thought he looked okay in this fight. Honestly, for the most part, he looked okay. I think Mike Malott was very composed. He didn't rush the finish. You know what I mean? He kind of just waited for the opportunity to come and, yeah, capitalized on it. What are the things I liked about it? Well, Gilbert had one good combination that he kept throwing where he'd throw kind of like a shovel hook to the body, like a left hook, and then he'd come over the top with the right hand, right? Because the moment he hits that body shot, most of the time people are going to kind of like crunch down and they're not really going to be thinking about the shot coming over the top. I like that. But beyond that, it was mostly just like low kicks. I feel like Malott was the one who was really leading the pacing of the fight. And yeah, the other problem was that Gilbert Burns, this is actually kind of how he lost to Michael Morales, is that when he's feeling pressured, like his go-to thing is he just backs up and kind of puts up this like long guard type thing. The problem is like there's not that much protection on the side of your head. And so if your opponent can close distance faster, like fast enough to where it doesn't like ricochet off of your guard, and they just wrap that punch around it, like he kind of just gets hit. And that was sort of what started happening in round 2. That's basically how Michael Morales finished him, is he just kind of like has these super long arms and just like wung these punches super loopy and wide, and they just landed around his guard. The other problem is that when you're here, there's this huge hole underneath throwing the uppercut, right? Carlos Prates does that a lot, and he learned that the hard way when he fought Ian Gary, because Ian Gary was like, oh, every time I attack him, he does this. What if I just throw this uppercut that comes underneath? Sure enough, it landed, and it was really effective, right? Mike Malott basically did the same thing. And that's how he finished the fight, was basically combining those two things. He landed the uppercut and he landed the left hook. Justin Gaethje loves that combination too. He did that all day against Michael Chandler, and it worked really well. So yeah, really good finish for Mike Malott. I think I was really impressed with his takedown defense, especially. There were a few moments where Gilbert Burns actually had some pretty solid takedown attempts that were stuffed. A lot of them were okay, but there are a few that were pretty deep that Malott dealt with pretty well. It would have been fun to see this fight go to the ground, because I actually like Gilbert Burns is obviously a phenomenal grappler, but I think Mike Malott's really good too. I'm just not sure how good he would have been in bottom position. So it would have been kind of fun to see if Burns could do his thing, but kudos to Mike Malott for the takedown defense and overall good win. I don't know, what is there anything else that you saw in this fight that was interesting to you at all? Or
yeah, that uppercut combination, Bilal also did that against Leon. He rocked Leon pretty bad in that fight with that. I really wish Gilbert would.
Leon was doing this thing.
Yeah, doing the crawfish shell or whatever. Is that what it's called?
No, it's like I don't know, what do you call it? It's like I'm not even sure what they call it. It's like a cross guard, something
Philly
like that.
shell kind of variation, you know?
He's basically doing this. Yeah, he's kind of doing. Yeah, it is. It's a form of a shoulder roll type thing, but he's doing this and bang.
Yeah.
Bilal just kept hitting him with the uppercut from underneath, or he'd go to the body.
Yeah, I really wish Gilbert would have faked more takedowns in this fight. It was pretty quickly he realized that, yeah, I'm not taking Mike Malott down, based off just, I mean, takedown defense, and also Mike Malott's just like build is like, he's just so much bigger than Gilbert. Gilbert is honestly a product of just, he's in between divisions, and it really sucks for him, because he was in 155, he was getting older and maybe a little bit bigger, but he's really small for 170, and it's just like, I feel bad for him, but I really would have liked to see him fake more takedowns to set up his striking. He kind of was like, I'm going to take you down, and if that doesn't work, then I'm just going to strike. But he never tried to like mesh them together. Like, you know, like I shoot a takedown, or like I fake a takedown, you drop your level, and then I like do a step in knee. Like he didn't really do a ton of that kind of stuff, and that could just play with his fight IQ. But I really want to see Gilbert kind of use more tools in this fight. A good win for Mike Malott. I think that this win in Mike Malott's career does a lot. Like I think this does for Mike Malott what like Michael Chiesa beating Tony Ferguson did. It's like, yeah, I mean, he was good a while back, but Gilbert's ranked, but he's coming off of so many losses, and it's just like, yeah, I mean, it's a good win. It's a good win. I mean, you beat Nunk, but I don't know.
Yeah, I guess help me understand what you're saying. Are you saying like for his legacy this fight, or for his like career moving forward? Because I agree with you that for his legacy, beating a Gilbert Burns that was on like a 4-fight losing streak, who's almost 40, doesn't really do a lot for him. Like that wasn't the Gilbert Burns that completely mauled Tyron Woodley back in 2020, right? Who was like a champion at that point, basically. I mean, he was coming off of his loss to Kamaru Usman, but as far as getting like for his career, this was kind of best case scenario for him because Gilbert Burns is way out of his prime, but he was ranked number 11 at welterweight. So he basically skipped 15 through 10. So he didn't have to fight as a contender to get into the top 15. He was unranked, he didn't have to fight as a contender to get into the top 10, a top 15 guy to get in the top 10. He basically skipped the line a little bit and is straight in the top 10, which is kind of great because, dude, he's not young, right? He turns 35 this year. Like, it's not like he's this young prospect. Like, he doesn't have that much left in the tank, probably. Like, I'm thinking 2-3 years at most before he really starts to drop off. And yeah, so like if he wants to try and become a champion, which welterweight is, I mean, good luck. I mean, there's so much talent in welterweight. You got Islam Makhachev as champion, Ian Gary, Bilal Muhammad, Carlos Prates, Michael Morales. Like, that is just a ridiculously stacked division. And yeah, so I think that if he wants to make the most of this, like, he needs to be active and needs to fight probably into the top 8, top 7, top 6 kind of thing. Not really sure who he should fight, but definitely he needs to fight soon and make the most of the fact that he basically got into the top 10 on a fairly easy fight for him. Not that Gilbert Burns is easy, but at this point in his career, it's just not the same guy who fought Hamzat. It's not the same guy who fought Kamaru Usman, who knocked him down. It's not the same guy who fought Tyron Woodley. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I guess maybe to kind of go back to my point is I think everybody expected Mike Malott to have a performance like this. And I think he looked decent, but in the way that Michael Morales disposed of Gilbert Burns, I mean, Gilbert didn't look that bad against him. And that could just be that Gilbert is not as bad as we think. But when I see Mike Malott, I don't see a guy who's going to tear through the division. I just have a hard time getting on his hype train. I think he's going to get, I'll say humbled, but like I think he's going to lose like pretty devastatingly within the next year or two. I don't know. That's just me. I'm just not on his hype train, but good win.
I think he's pretty good. Yeah, I actually think he's pretty good. I'm looking at the top 15 here, or I should say the top 10 at welterweight. Obviously, JDM is fighting Prates, Ian Gary. What is happening with Ian Gary? Is he getting the title shot?
I think he's
no idea.
waiting for that, probably. Yeah.
Waiting for that. Michael Morales is also waiting for the title shot. So, like, it's not realistic for Mike Malott to expect to fight Ian Gary or Michael Morales because those guys are on win streaks and they're in the top 3. Bilal is fighting Joaquin Buckley. Prates is fighting JDM. Sean Brady is fighting... Oh, no. Sorry. Sean Brady is fighting Joaquin Buckley. Who is Bilal fighting? Oh, Gabriel Bonfim. That's right. So what does that leave us? Kamaru Usman and Leon Edwards are not going to fight each other. They've already fought 3 times. So really, he should probably fight Kamaru or Leon. That should be the next fight for...
And Leon's fighting Dan Rodriguez.
Malott. Oh, okay. So Kamaru Usman, and that makes a lot of sense. I suppose Kamaru Usman's coming off of a win, so it might be a little weird to give him to Mike Malott, but I don't know.
He's pretty
been very active.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so it's kind of his fault for not making the most of it. So yeah, I feel like Kamaru Usman versus Mike Malott is the fight to make.
Yeah, I agree, and I think I'm definitely gonna be betting on Kamaru in that fight. Kamaru is aged, I feel like pretty decently well, but yeah, I don't really have much more to say. But I mean, great win for Mike Malott in his career. But
real quick, you know what I will say?
Yeah.
Our prediction was close. We said Mike Malott by decision, and honestly, it kind of looked like it was going to go the distance until it didn't. So that's obviously it's not how that works. But
yeah,
anyways,
no, actually,
yeah,
close. That's a good point. I I actually have a question because Gilbert has a tendency to kind of crumble when anything kind of like when the snowball starts rolling, he really withers quickly. And there's two types of fighters. One, a fighter gets dropped and they rustle up, and two, a fighter gets dropped and they fall to their guard. And Gilbert always falls to his guard. Same with his brother. Remember his brother Herbert Burns when he was in the UFC? He was getting smoked. And it's like, I feel like the finish rate when a guy drops to his guard is way higher than when he like turtles up and then like tries to like dive for a leg kind of thing. I was like, why does Gilbert always pull guard? He always gets TKOs. He always gets TKO'd from that position. Like, why does he keep pulling guard? You know, you don't have to have a response to that, but it's just more of a question.
I mean, it could be instinct.
Yeah.
Yeah, it could be instinct, like just all the like. I mean, he's just done so much BJJ that it's kind of like, if you think about it, the guard is kind of a defensive position. You're kind of like, I'm stuck in this position, and so I need to make the most of it. It's kind of like Oliveira. Like if you knock Oliveira down, he's never gonna wrestle up. He's always gonna pull guard.
Yeah,
and just like play on his back.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know. I think Oliveira has more. Not this is such a small factor, but like Oliveira's up kicks are way more aggressive and technical than Gilbert. Gilbert kind of like when he falls to his guard, he doesn't even up kick. He kind of just like crunches in like a little supine guard. It's like, dude, like they're just gonna pass you in half a second, like Mike Malott did, and TKO you. Like you gotta up kick. You gotta be a little active. You can't just like shrivel up. But yeah, okay, we can move on if you don't have anything you want to say. But
yeah, sure,
cool. Okay, so Charles Jourdain and Kyler Phillips. This fight was we said Jourdain sub decision. It was a decision, so pick went through. Charles Jourdain is good. I didn't find that fight that entertaining. For the same way that you didn't find Hokit versus Blades entertaining, I thought it was kind of entertaining. But for your logic, I would apply that to this fight. Charles Jourdain threw the kitchen sink at Kyler Phillips, but like maybe a quarter of it landed. You know what I mean? Like
I agree.
Yeah,
there wasn't much purpose behind it. It was like, dude, you can be like flipping around and jumping and swinging, but like if there's no intention behind that, like it doesn't seem like you're being tactical with it. You're not setting it up. It's kind of like it would be like if you watched an NBA game and everybody just shot half court shots. Like they just grab the ball and just chuck it at the hoop on the other end. It's kind of like, okay, it might be entertaining if you did it once, but if that's all you're doing, it doesn't look like you're trying to win, or it doesn't look like you're actually winning in any meaningful way. You're just kind of like doing crazy things. Kind of agree with you. I was impressed by Kyler Phillips' wrestling, though. Like, he really dominated that aspect of this fight. Charles Jourdain, it seems like he was jumping guillotines so much that he didn't really focus on takedown defense at all. Like, he was content with just kind of being on his back and attempting the guillotine. A few times it allowed him to, like Phillips had to back off a little bit and deal with the guillotine, and it allowed him to get back to his feet, so that was good. But he threw way too many flying knees. I will say, the teeps were awesome. The front kicks to the body for Jourdain were great. Body shots in general were awesome. And I was actually impressed with just generally like his cardio. I thought it held up incredibly well. Like he was a really high pace for 3 rounds for both guys. Both of them handled that super well. So that's what I would say about this fight. I don't really have much else though, honestly.
Yeah, or like the fact that he would constantly do like the rolling thunder and like do like a front flip and stuff, and it never landed, and the crowd's like, holy crap, he's jumping around. It's like, dude, like none of this stuff is landing. Like, yeah, if it landed, I'd be going insane. But I'm like, he threw it 10 times in the fight, it landed maybe once, and it didn't even rock him. It's like, it's just like, okay. Yeah, it's just not entertaining, but good win. Good one for Charles Jourdain. I don't even know if he's in the ranking. Chris, this was a co-main, and these guys, I don't even know if Kyler was ranked. Like, it's just like, what? But yeah,
I know.
Yeah. Okay, we can move on to Mandel Nallo and Jai Herbert. Dude, holy balls! This was an awesome fight. I almost lost my voice watching this fight. Mandel Nallo, he put the pressure on Jai Herbert. I was nervous because, you know, our pick was obviously Jai Herbert in this fight. And that was kind of like no analysis, just like, hey, Jai Herbert has a lot more experience. So I think, and he's an underdog. So I think that's not a bad spot. And funny enough, we actually also called out Jai Herbert KO, but because the audio got messed up, I had to cut that out. So
cut it out.
it stopped where we were saying his money line, but we continue to say his KO later. But I was nervous watching this fight. He got rocked. He probably got dropped like to maybe a knee and got back up, but like maybe 4 times, like 3 times against the fence. And then obviously Nallo just dropped his guard looking for a finish and got cracked. Dude, his shield was gone when he got dropped, dude. He needed a med kit. Like it was so insane to watch. But not really any analysis, more just like, holy crap, that was insane.
Yeah, I thought Herbert was done as well. Within the first minute, dude, Manuel Nallo, his kicks were really, really good. He kept throwing this front kick that looked like it was so close to hitting Jai Herbert every single time he threw it. It was so scary. Even his little head kick was really sneaky. Herbert was pretty good at defending it, like he got his arm up there fast enough, but really, really sneaky. And then, of course, it seemed like every time Herbert got backed up to the fence, Nallo was just landing this right hook that kind of landed just like kind of sort of on the back of his head, and it rocked him or like wobbled him every single time. It just looked like he was so overwhelmed by the pressure. And then he even said in the post-fight interview, he was like, I knew when he was fighting for the finish, the only way I was going to get him out of there or stop him was if I sat down on a right hand and just like leaned off the center line and just sat down on it as he was crashing in. And that's exactly what happened. And it was incredible. Yeah. It was almost like the same kind of shot that Josh Emmett hit Bryce Mitchell with, or Ilia Topuria hit Charles Oliveira with. Same kind of thing where they're both throwing right hands, but he's pulling his head off the center line and just kind of beat him to the punch. Yeah, it was, dude. I was so surprised because the other thing too is that Herbert, until that point, I remember sitting there watching this, thinking to myself, like, dude, you need to throw something at him to get some respect. Like, he's just walking you down, and you're not giving him any reason to not do that. And then he just like uncorks this right hand and flatlines him. Really insane. I mean, after that, obviously that wasn't the knockout. It happened after that, but really that was the beginning at the end. Like Nallo didn't have anything. Like he was done after Herbert landed that right hand.
Yeah, no, that was by far the fight of the night. I honestly, I don't really have much to say besides that. I do want to start doing fight reactions, dude, because that was so insane to watch. That was
ridiculous.
And that'll definitely happen in the future of the Fight Lounge, but I don't really, because we didn't do any pre-fight analysis for anything else, so I don't really like feel the need to go into that. I do want to talk about the Dennis Buzukja and
versus Marcio Barbosa.
At least just because it was so insane. At least just mention it, dude. Holy crap, Marcio Barbosa. They were throwing so hard. It's kind of like, oh, Marcio Barbosa is so good, and it's like that fight was probably 50-50. Like they were both throwing so hard. It could have easily have been the exact opposite. That Marcio Barbosa was on the ground, stiff as a board. And it was like, holy crap. So as far as like Marcio Barbosa, does he have a crazy future in the division? It's kind of hard to tell. But as far as just like a casual's perspective, that was insane. Like, anytime somebody gets stiffed, it's like, that's what makes the sport fun to watch, you know?
Knowing that at any moment something that can happen. Like, he just lands, the left hook was so perfect. Like, the form was perfect. He put his whole body behind it. He kept it tight. It was like a Pereira left hook. And the sad thing is that Denis Buzukja even had his hand up. It just clipped his chin, like, right on the spot. It was just the angle of it. Like, it just came right in there, even though he had his hand up. And it was just like a one-hit quitter. Walk-off KO. Like, didn't even have to land any follow-up shots, which thank God, because Denis Buzukja was done at that point. And if he landed a follow-up shot, it would have been like he would have been out a lot longer. But thankfully, it seemed like he recovered pretty quickly, even though that was truly a knockout. That was not a TKO.
It's like, you know,
incredible finish.
You know what they say
best finish of the card.
Oh, 100%. You know when they say that this like MMA is a game of inches, right? And it's funny because in reality, it's not. You know, I would say that when somebody who has elite technique, they can make it a game of inches. Like like obviously Denis Buzukja, he knows what he's doing. I mean, he's been fighting. He has 18 fights. You know, he knows what he's doing, and even with good technique, it's still a game of inches. Like if his hand was half an inch forward, he would have been rocked, but he would not have been in the afterlife, you know? And so yeah, that was just a crazy finish. Honestly, for a card that has basically negative name value, there was a decent amount of finishes on this card. The Tanner Bozer and Gokhan Sarakam fight. I don't want to talk about that, but that was a crazy finish. There were some good finishes in this card. So you can never truly be like, oh, this card's too forgettable, that I'm not going to tune in, because you never know what's going to happen, you know? But cool. All right.
Yeah, dude. You know, one thing I will say, featherweight reminds me a lot right now. Featherweight reminds me a lot of what welterweight was like 2 or 3 years ago. Mark my words, in like 2 or 3 years, featherweight will probably be one of the most exciting stacked divisions in the UFC, because there's a lot of young guys right now that look really dangerous and really promising, who are kind of like in the top 15, but probably could be in the top 5 if they just had more time. Like when you look at the rankings, think about Aaron Pico. I think Aaron Pico is very, very good. Melchizedek Costa, Kevin Vallejos, Steve Garcia. This guy, Marcio Barbosa. There's more that I'm missing here. But there's a lot of people at featherweight right now that are really, really talented, young, have a lot of life left in their career. And I say give them 2 or 3 years. I think in 2 or 3 years, a lot of the people at the top of featherweight aren't going to be there anymore. Volkanovski will not be around anymore. Movsar, maybe. But Movsar in 3 years will probably be kind of getting toward more like the upper middle end of his career. Diego Lopez will probably be classed out. I don't think Diego Lopez is going to be competitive in 2 or 3 years. Like with these guys coming up, like Aaron Pico, Melchizedek Costa, like I think all these guys would beat Diego Lopez. Lerone Murphy will be gone. Yair Rodriguez, gone. Aljo, gone. Jean Silva will probably still be in the mix. Yusuf Zalal, maybe as well. But if you think about it, like I basically just described the entire top 7 in featherweight right now. And I don't think much of them are going to be top contenders in 2 or 3 years. I think all these young guys are going to replace them. And that's what's happening with welterweight right now. Think about welterweight. 2 or 3 years ago, who was in the top 5? Gilbert Burns, Bilal Muhammad, Leon Edwards, Colby Covington, Kamaru Usman. Where are those guys now? They're all out of the top 15, basically, or like out of the top 5 at the very least. Who's replaced them? Jack Della Maddalena, Islam Makhachev, Ian Gary, Michael Morales, Carlos Prates. Those were the guys that 2 years ago we were like, holy crap, these guys are going to be problems for the top 5, right? So basically, I think give it a little bit of time, and featherweight will have an entirely new. It will look completely different in not very long, and yeah, just be like featherweight is going to be a super exciting division. It kind of feels like ever since Ilya Taporia and Max Holloway left, it kind of felt like featherweight just took a little bit of a dive. But dude, now like in a couple of years, it's going to be incredible.
Yeah, it's really fun to see stars being built up, and you're watching them being built up at the beginning of their career. You know, like Ateba Gatier, when that guy is in the top 5, we're gonna be like, yeah, you know, I was watching the UFC when he was fighting Puyayev or Tristan Vines.
Yeah,
you know, but
yeah, when they were fighting cans.
Yeah, basically, and now they're fighting the best fighters in the division. So it's really cool to be able to see people be built up, you know. And
oh yeah, dude, I remember back in 2020 when Khamzat Chimaev and Sean O'Malley were having their rise, like. They were fighting basically unranked people, like nobodies. And even then, everyone was watching them like, okay, these guys, like I know they haven't been tested yet against like really strong competition, but you could just kind of tell that they were bound to be top contenders. And yeah, and it's just exciting to watch. I just think featherweight's an incredibly exciting division right now.
Yeah, that'd make for a fun video. Like, what are going to be the best divisions to watch in 5 years? That'd be a fun YouTube video. But cool.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, as far as analysis goes, I don't really have any more fights I'd like to really break down. So, unless you have anything you'd like to say, we could probably.
I don't think so.
This, a short podcast.
Yeah, it was a really fun card, but I don't have much to add.
Cool.